The effects of indirect violence in the family. Domestic violence always has long-lasting effects, whether direct or indirect. In addition to conflicts between spouses, there are many other forms of fear and doubt that can affect the family. These can have consequences, both directly and indirectly for the children. But do we really know the consequences that this situation can have on them? What are the indirect effects of domestic violence? Child abuse. Mental abuse in the family or violence in the family is often camouflaged behind upbringing. In these cases, the aim is to break the child's will and thus make him an obedient and docile being. If children in these situations are unable to react and find themselves under a dictatorship of silence. Psychological abuse directed at children manifests itself through verbal violence, contemptuous behavior, emotional rejection, contradictory upbringing and disproportionate demands in relation to the child's age. This form of violence in the family, which is never insignificant, can be exercised either indirectly or directly. The effects of indirect violence in the family. Psychological abuse and indirect violence affect children. This is because the violence itself is perpetrated by one of the parents towards the other. This affects the children. The aggressive parent will use verbal means of communication, contempt, mockery, insults, lies, etc., as well as nonverbal, pointing fingers, etc. They may also destroy physical objects and exhibit violent behavior such as beating. Therefore, the children also become victims, simply because they are present. Furthermore, they refuse to distance themselves from the attacked parent. They are witnesses to the conflict and on the receiving end of all the damage that the situation brings. For this reason, they begin to isolate themselves. In fact, they lose their capacity for individuation because of the situation they find themselves in. In addition, they have to suffer from the aggression shown by the attacked parent towards the other parent who has not been able to live out his aggression towards the other parent as well as during the conflict between the two. Long-term effects of indirect violence. This situation of isolation can have serious consequences for the children. If they do not find a way to deal with it themselves, they will end up with a heavy burden of suffering, which they will subsequently reproduce with other people and in other situations. This is because, over time, the aggressive parent also transfers the hatred towards their partner to their children. Regardless of the reason, this is completely unacceptable behavior. The ambiguous situations that children experience can sooner or later lead to self-destruction. This is due to their feelings of insecurity and moments of confusion that they are somehow exposed to. The malicious and hateful behavior, bad intentions of the aggressive parent introduce them into a never-ending spiral from which they cannot escape, making the child pay for his own suffering. Sometimes children internalize a negative image of themselves because they feel that this is what they deserve. This is because the aggressive parent so often humiliated them. Interestingly, it is often the case that the parents have something similar in their own childhood. They may even still be suffering. In these cases, it becomes unbearable for them if their child is happy or successful in any way, because they feel the need to make their child pay for their own suffering, past or present. Children can be easily manipulated with emotional blackmail. This is because they have no limits to their tolerance and always find excuses for the people they love. Therefore, they are always ready to forgive their parents, take the blame themselves, and try to understand them. Indirect violence in the family, a difficult problem. For children, violence in the family is an extremely difficult situation. This is because they are only subject to the orders of a single parent. The other parent who is attacked can never really help them. Furthermore, The situation can worsen when the non-attacking parent goes their own way, leaving the child alone with the other parent's contempt. One might think that this is a rare situation. However, the truth is that it is quite frequent. Therefore, it does not hurt to look at your habits and behavior from time to time with the aim of changing them if necessary. Because violence doesn't just mean raising a hand to a child or hitting. It also involves humiliating, criticizing and despising the child.